So it seems to me that if we can give tax breaks to billionaires and large corporations, you know what else we can do? We can cancel all student debt. And when we begin to think outside the box, that we ask questions that members of Congress don't, we ask a simple question. How does it happen that America today is the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right? How come we spend twice as much per person on health care as do the people of any other country, and yet we got 87 million Americans uninsured or underinsured? How come we pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs? How does it happen that in America last year, at least, and this is a conservative number, at least 30,000 people died because they didn't get to a doctor when they should have because they had no health insurance? 30,000. When you want to think about a cruel healthcare system, ask yourself, how does it happen that last year 500,000 people went bankrupt because of medically related debt? You know what that means? That means there are people all over this country who are struggling with cancer, with heart disease, with Alzheimer's, with other terrible diseases. They're fighting for their lives, and they go bankrupt because they cannot afford to pay outrageous medical bills. This is a cruel system. It is an incredibly wasteful and bureaucratic system, and it is a system that needs to change. Well over 100 years ago, when Teddy Roosevelt was President of the United States, all the way up to Barack Obama, presidents have talked about the need for universal health care. Well, in my view, the time for talk is over. The time for action. Let us stand together and tell the drug companies and the insurance companies that we will not tolerate them making $100 billion in profits when so many are uninsured and underinsured. Whether they like it or not, we will move to a Medicare for all single-payer program. And when we talk about the major issues facing this country, we cannot ignore the existential crisis of climate change. Now, I wish I could tell you, don't worry about it, we'll build a few more solar panels here and a few more wind turbines there, but that would not be honest. What the scientists are now telling us is that the climate change crisis is much worse than they had previously anticipated. Polar ice caps are melting at a faster rate. Oceans are warming at a faster rate. Seas are rising at a faster rate. We are seeing more drought, more extreme weather disturbances. And what the United Nations is telling us is that if we don't get our act together by the end of the century, there will be hundreds of millions of climate refugees. People no longer able to stay in their communities because there's no water to drink, no land to grow their crops. Now is the time to tell the fossil fuel industry that their short-term profits are not more important than the future of this planet. Now is the time to move forward with a Green New Deal. A Green New Deal that will create up to 20 million good-paying jobs as we transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainable energy. And when we talk about issues that have got to be dealt with, it cannot be swept under the rug. We have got to acknowledge that today we have a broken and racist criminal justice system. This is America. We should not have more people in jail than any other country on earth, including China. What we will do together is invest heavily in job training and education for our young people, not more jails and incarceration. It costs less money to send a young person to the University of Virginia than to put him in jail. Let's send him to the University of Virginia. Together we're going to end private prisons and detention centers. We don't believe that corporations should make profits locking up fellow Americans. I'll tell you what else we're going to do. We're going to end the so-called war on drugs. Turns out, who knew this, but it turns out that through executive order, a president can legalize marijuana in every state of the country. States, what we have got to do is expunge the records of those arrests. And when we talk about broken systems, we need to undertake major reform of our immigration system. On day one, we will restore the legal status of the 1.8 million young people eligible for DACA. Under our administration, federal agents will never go about snatching babies from the arms of the Our administration will put together bipartisan legislation for comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship. When we talk about the issues that the American people are thinking about, there is horror all over this country about the level of gun violence that we see. So let me simply say this to you. We will bring about the most far-reaching gun safety legislation in the history of this country. Trump and the Republican leadership are intimidated by the NRA. Our administration will not be intimidated by it. We will bring about universal background checks. We will end the gun show loophole. We will do something that should have been done a long time ago, ban the sale and distribution of assault weapons. As a United States Senator, I have occasion to listen to a lot of speeches on the floor of the Senate from my right-wing Republican colleagues. Their mantra is that they believe in small government and getting the government off the backs of the American people. That's what they say. Well, I say to those hypocrites that if you believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people, understand that it is women who have a right to their children. Republican colleagues, don't tell me you believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people when you are telling every woman in America what she can or cannot do. On Tuesday, here in Virginia and across this country, there are going to be enormously important primary elections. And I am here tonight to ask for your support. I am here tonight to ask you to bring your friends and family and colleagues to vote. We have got to change the political culture and mindset in this nation. We cannot continue to have the lowest voter turnout of almost any major country on earth. We need to have the highest voter turnout. We cannot sit back and complain. We have got to get active and vote. Now, if we can win here in Virginia, and with your help, I think we can, we stand a great chance to win the Democratic nomination. And if we win the Democratic nomination, we sure as heck, we're going to beat Donald Trump and beat America. You and suggest that it's not Bernie, it is us all. As you know, what this campaign is about is us, not me. We are trying to change a nation so that all of us understand we are in it together. Every family in America, trust me, has its problems. And it is important that my family be there for your family be there for my family. We cannot turn our backs when other people are in pain. But us, not me, means something else. It means that we understand that no president alone can do what has to be done. We understand that real change in American history, whether it is the labor movement, the civil rights movement, the women's movement, the gay rights movement, the environmental movement, all those changes took place by millions of people standing up for justice. That's where we are right now. We are the richest country in the history of the world, and we demand justice for all of our people. And whether Wall Street likes it or not, whether the insurance companies, the drug companies, the fossil fuel industry, the military-industrial complex, whether they like it or not, we are going to create an economy and a government that works for all of us, not just the 1%. So let us go forward together. Let's win on Tuesday. Let us win the Democratic nomination. Let us defeat Trump. Transform this country. Thank you all.